One of the most iconic bands of all time, the Beatles, were all kinds of weird. And today we're going to look for some little-known weird on today's episode of 5 Weird Things. Welcome to the channel. I once heard that a band is only truly great when you can name 5 or more of their songs and they aren't even your genre of music. I think my favorite Beatles song is Yesterday, probably a lot of people's favorite. What's your favorite? Let me know down in the comments. All right, let's get into it. First, the things we should all know. The Beatles were an English 4-piece rock band formed in Liverpool in 1960. The members of the band were John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. John and Ringo playing the guitar, Paul on bass guitar, Ringo on the drums. Weird thing number 5. The name of the band. Before becoming the Beatles, the band was initially called the Quarrymen. This was the name under which John Lennon formed the group in 1956. The name was a reference to Quarry Bank High School in Liverpool, where Lennon and some of the other original members attended. Johnny and the Moondogs. In 1959, the Beatles briefly performed under the name Johnny and the Moondogs. This name was used during a stint in Hamburg, Germany, where the band gained valuable experience playing in clubs. It reflects the evolving and experimental phase of the group before settling on the iconic name we know today. When the Beatles performed in Hamburg, they also adopted the name the Silver Beatles in 1960. This was a transitional name before they finally settled on the Beatles. The silver part of the name was inspired by a fellow band member's love for Silver Elvis Presley, and Beatles was a nod to Buddy Holly's band, the Crickets. Weird thing number 4. How many hits? The Fab Four were only active for a brief period in the 1960s, but that short span left an indelible mark on the Billboard Hot 100 Songs chart and Billboard 200 Albums list. The group charted 64 total songs on the Hot 100 between 1964 and 1970, of which 20 hit number 1, a record for most leaders that still stands. In terms of their biggest hit, the Beatles' best-selling single in the UK was She Loves You. The Beatles' best-selling single in the US was Hey Jude. And the Beatles' best-selling song worldwide was I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Weird thing number 3. 3 unique songs. The Beatles' song Hey Jude was released in 1968, held the record for the longest single to top the charts in the UK at the time, with a running time of approximately 7 minutes and 11 seconds. It was an unusual length for a pop song, but its success demonstrated the band's ability to break traditional norms. Yesterday, written by Paul McCartney and released in 1965, is considered one of the greatest pop songs of all time. Remarkably, it holds the Guinness World Record for being the most covered song by various artists, with over 2,200 recorded versions. The simplicity and beauty of the song's melody and lyrics have made it a timeless classic, so you can't blame people for covering it. The title track of the Beatles' third studio album and film, A Hard Day's Night, starts with a distinctive chord that has become instantly recognizable. The chord was played by George Harrison on his 12-string Rickenbacker. This chord sound has become iconic and is often referred to as the Hard Day's Night chord. Weird thing number 2. Paul is the Walrus. The Walrus was Paul line contributed to the infamous Paul is dead conspiracy theory. In 1967, rumors circulated that Paul McCartney had died in a car crash, and clues supposedly confirming this theory were believed to be hidden in the Beatles songs and album covers. The walrus, being a symbol of death in some cultures, was seen as evidence of this theory. John Lennon later admitted that the line, "The walrus was Paul," was intentionally added to confuse and mislead those who were looking for hidden meanings in their songs. Lennon was amused by the speculation and wanted to play along with the mysterious and cryptic interpretations that fans were creating. Paul McCartney addressed the Paul is dead rumors in a 1974 interview, stating that he found them both hilarious and absurd, which is exactly how you should react to that. He confirmed that he was both very much alive and that the whole conspiracy theory was a case of fans reading way too much into the band's work. The Beatles themselves often incorporated humor and wordplay into their lyrics, and the walrus reference was just another example of this playful approach to songwriting. And finally, weird thing number 1. Weird about the Fab Four. John Lennon. In addition to his musical talents, Lennon was also involved in visual arts. He attended the Liverpool College of Art before pursuing a career in music, and his drawings and artwork were published in his books In His Own Right and A Spaniard in the Works. Paul McCartney. McCartney is left-handed and is one of the most famous left-handed bass players in rock music. He often used a Hofner bass guitar, contributing to the Beatles' distinctive sound. George Harrison. Harrison formed Handmade Films, a film production company, and produced several successful movies, among them Monty Python's Life of Brian. Ringo Starr. Ringo is known for his drumming skills, but he also showcased his talents in other ways. He provided the voice for Thomas the Tank Engine in the children's TV series and narrated some episodes. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you liked it, and if you didn't, the hell's wrong with you? As always, let me know any opinions down in the comments section, and if you're still watching, put cuckoo cuckoo down in the comments for absolutely no reason other than the algorithm likes it. Take care, and have a hard day's night.